Hi friends, do you want to get into grasshopper pose with me? I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's break it down. Okay, so grasshopper pose is so much fun, and I really think as long as you have the hip flexion for it and you're pretty strong in your chaturangas and you've built up that upper body strength, it's pretty accessible. And the best part is about any really low flying inversion or arm balance is you're not going to fall very far. So it's a little bit easier to acclimate your brain once you get the body mechanics down. So I'm excited for you to get into it. So big things, again, hip flexion. You're really gonna wanna get deep into your hips. So we're gonna pop right back into lizard lunge. So if you saw my video about 8-angle pose, you know lizard lunge is a favorite of mine. And I always like to set the disclaimer, try not to get into these shapes without doing these exercises for at least a few minutes each side, if not an entire vinyasa class before you get into the shapes. Just because I'm only here with you for a short amount of time, I want you to be nice and safe when you move through, because these are pretty advanced postures. So lizard lunge, you'll have your foot on the outside of pinky, or you can think of it as pinky on the inseam of your foot. So step it nice and wide. You can let your knee fall out. You can let your toes fall out. If your toes do fall out, keep a nice flexed foot. And we'll shift back into half split. Let it be a wide half split, blocks on either side. If you have blocks or books, really anything that you can stack up at home. And you can floss in and out of this situation, shifting forward into like a low crescent. You can come back up onto your toes. This is also lizard lunge. Forward and back. If you have it in you, you can also stay on your forearms, shift forward and back. That's a little crazy for me though today, depending on your flexibility. You have fun with it. Switch it up, other side. And grasshopper is one of my favorite shapes, and it also has a baby version, so maybe you'll see a video for that soon too. Ooh, yeah. Stretch that situation out. Again, a couple minutes on both sides. I won't do the whole thing with you guys, but I trust you to set your own timers and move through these accordingly. And big prep for any kind of arm balance is making sure that you have a really solid foundation of strength in your chaturangas before you continue to move on. So I also usually like a nice low plank push-up. So if you don't have chaturangas in your practice, low plank push-up is gonna be a really lovely place to start. Knees separated wide from the heels of your palms, and then surrender your hips down, long back of neck. You can lower down into a couple of these bad boys. A pretty good rule of thumb is your palms are going to be where your shoulders would land when they come down. But you want a nice chaturanga distance from your palms when you really start to set up your foundation for any kind of arm balancing. And then another big thing, because we're gonna move through seated figure four, or rather standing figure four, when we move into our grasshopper, starting with a seated figure four to start to get those muscles warmed up is really lovely. You could likely move through a standing figure four. If you're going through a vinyasa flow, that's where you might find a grasshopper after. But a seated figure four is a lovely place to warm it up if you're not flowing today. So right now I have right ankle over left thigh. Right foot is flexed always, and you have a lot of room to play here. You can decrease or increase your stretch. Let's switch it out. Again, you set your timer. Work to keep your sides even if you're gonna try this shape on both sides as well. Let's move through some nice twists, because it does require a big twist. You want to make sure your spine is nice and warmed up appropriately. Take a big breath in, arms up overhead. And take a twist either side for you, opposite hand, opposite knee. And we'll flow through this to really get the spine nice and warm. Gaze is over your back shoulder. Inhale, arms lift up overhead. And exhale, other side. And continue to move and breathe. I'd say go about 4 more rounds. And without being too forceful, but let your spine really get into a good state of flow. A nice mobile spine is going to keep you young forever, I promise. And then whenever you are finished with your reps, we can meet all together, standing. I like an Ekapada Tadasana to start. And then we take it down to a seated figure 4, hands to heart. Now here's the big spinal twist. You wanna wrap your opposite tricep to the sole of your foot. And this is challenging enough, but once we're there, hands are gonna plant, find your same chaturanga position to the side of your body. Lower your hip down to your outside elbow, send your gaze to the other seam of your space, and then float your leg. And there's your grasshopper. Good job! Leave any comments if you have any further questions and I'd be happy to answer them. Great work, friends.